Right before we jump into this video, if you'd like me to send you a free guide to capturing motion in low light situations, just look for this orange box over on the website, put your name, email address in it, hit send it, and I will send you that guide for free. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a first look and kind of like a first review of the brand new Nikon Z 70-200 2.8 VRS lens, which is a native 70-200 2.8 for the Z mount system. Now you may be saying to yourself sitting at home, Jared, why is your hair down right now? Well, I took this lens out to the beach. Yes, the beach. I'm afraid of the sun. I sat under a tent, but I did go into the water, and that's why my hair is down, because I didn't have time to put it back up when I came back today to make the review. All right? So let it go. Hashtag your hair is sexy. Hashtag I hate your hair. Either one works. Just put it down below so I can see which one you think is best. Is that a phone? Oh, phone call. Hello? Madeline K., is that you? Why was they at the beach and didn't invite you? Oh, that's because I went with your sister. That's right. Jasmine K. Jasmine K came to the beach with me and we had a good time. Anyway, so what I did is I went out to the beach. Brandon from Alan's Camera was spending a week of vacation down there with his family. And I was like, hey, can I come down for the day? I'll bring my 70-200 2.8 Z lens on the new Nikon Z5, and I'll come out and take pictures of your 1-year-old daughter. Before we get into the photos, let's take a look at the outside of the lens and the lens itself. So you can see that this is a substantial lens. It is basically the same size, actually slightly longer than the other 70-200 2.8, which I'll bring out in just a second, the FL version 2.8. So here's your lens hood, which actually is on there pretty good. The old one, sometimes, you lose a little bit of a click, but this clicks on right there. You have a 77mm filter thread, which is what you always have on these lenses. They tend to be the same throughout the history. On the front of it, you have this display panel, which I think is a waste. I still don't think you need a display panel on here. On the side, you have some switches. You have auto to manual for focus. You have the S moniker right here, which stands for silver line. Right here, you have full and limit for your focus. Now, I kept looking and I'm like, where's my VR switch? Because on the old lens, you have a VR switch on the side of it. Here, we can also look at size. Let's flip it the other way. You can see slightly taller right here on the new Nikon. I'm not sure why it's slightly taller. Maybe just because it's the mirrorless thing, but that's what it looks like right here. Now, on the old lens, you have a bunch of switches on the side, including VR on, VR off, sports, normal, and off for VR. And so when I first put this onto the camera, I'm like, where's my VR? Well, when you hit the info button on the back of the camera and you have it set where you can look at vibration reduction or you can put the hand shaking on or off, you actually have your option for sports there. It's all done inside of the camera. Would I prefer to have a switch on the outside as well? Probably. It's just really easy to do. Maybe it would have just delayed it by another year if they wanted to put the switch on it. All right, there's other buttons on here that I will not use myself. There's 1 custom button, 2 custom button, 3 custom button, 4 custom buttons. Oh, Jesus. And there's even another one right here up closer to the mount. So many custom buttons, so few times will I ever use those. I personally am not using those buttons. Now, the feel of the focus and the rubber on it feels great. It's nice and smooth. It floats there really nice. So if you're manually focusing, it's going to feel good. Now, the zoom range is not bad at all. You go like this, you have a pretty small throw. The best throw I've ever seen is the 70-200 on the Sony lens. That's literally like a turn like this and you're all the way through. I rather have a shorter throw. Now, this isn't a super duper long throw, so you can get through it pretty quick, but also it's not a super tight zoom, which I prefer so that I can easily control it when I'm taking pictures. I can just roll the thumb and there it goes and it moves. Now, do I like that the zoom is on the outside? The answer, Steven?
No.
No, still no. I'm getting more used to it after years of doing it, but I still prefer it being close. I just think it's easier to turn this one as the zoom than reach out here and turn this as the zoom itself. Now, the last thing that you see on the bottom is the foot. They make it, Nikon makes it so you can just pop it out, and there's your foot. I take this off right away because I don't use it. Now, when we're shooting video with this and we have it on a tripod, we do use the foot. I never use the foot myself, so I just take it off. All right, let's jump into some of the pictures here. Now, like I said, I took this out with the Nikon Z5. It was the first time I shot with the Z5. It was the first time I shot with this lens. And the reason I did it is, well, I got to go to the beach, hung out with Brandon from Alan's camera, and got some really cool pictures of his daughter. So this is the first shot right here. We'll zoom in, super duper sharp. I relied on the IAF of the Z5, which I will tell you feels, and I yelled a lot, so my voice is a little screechy, but I will tell you that the IAF just seems so slow. This isn't a review of the Z5. This is more of a reflection on the Nikons themselves, is that I guess I'm so used to using the R5, the R6 from Canon, all the different Sonys, and IAF is just so much faster in terms of the overlay than it was in this situation. Thankfully for me, she wasn't moving too fast or too much, but it's kind of slow, but it nailed it. Like, this shot is great. It nailed it. From the side, we have the eye right there. It nailed it because it's easier from the side. Boom, we got a nice black and white. Now, I may go through these pretty quick because there's not too much to say about it. The bokeh's beautiful. The lens feels great on the camera. It's nice and balanced, even without a grip, because this body feels exactly the same as the Z6 and the Z7 and also the Z50. So it just works. Let me jump in here real quick to show you how I can process this one image in Lightroom using a couple of presets from FroPack 2. So this is straight out of the camera raw. With one click, this is what AC/DC looks like. Really good starting point. Then we got Apollo with no white balance, gives it that blue look, but uses my white balance, looks good. Caribbean Creamsicle is really sweet looking. Dorothy is another cool one. That one looks good, as well as matte black, high contrast. So you can see that's just running through 4 different presets, and they give me a great starting point. So it also helps you speed up your raw workflow. If you want to check out all the presets, head on over to FroKnowsPhoto.com/FroPack2. While you're over there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters. And if you decide to pick it up right now, it is on sale. Or if you want to pick up FroPack 1 and FroPack 2 together as the FroPack bundle, you can save even more. Now, let's get back to the video. On the beach, I made sure I was away from the water and it wasn't too hazy. And a recommendation is, if you ever get sand on your lens, you're gonna need to blow it off with a rocket air of some kind before you start trying to go ahead and clean it with your lens cloth, because you don't wanna go ahead and rub sand into your lens. I don't use filters out at the beach. I don't use filters ever, basically UV filters. I don't do that because I don't want to put a piece of glass in front of an awesome piece of glass. Love the black and white, love the contrast. Very happy with the colors and tones that I got out of the Z5. The raw files look fantastic. You know, the lens does what it's supposed to do. It's a 70-200. It's a type of thing that every photographer should have in their bag if you're a professional Nikon shooter. If you're a professional Nikon shooter, you have the 24-70Z, you have the 70-200Z, and you will get all of the Z lenses as long as you're sticking with the system. But the colors and tones, fantastic. The sharpness, the speed of focus, didn't even notice the speed of focus. Like, it just focused. That's how fast the mirrorless systems are. It just focused. I didn't notice it. And another thing I didn't notice was the VR moving or shaking, because we have image stabilization in the body. We have image stabilization or VR in the lens. In the older lenses, being that you didn't have stabilization in the body, I could always see it float, like I could always see it moving. Or when you activated it, you would hear an audible click and you would hear it going. That's literally the noise that it made when it was stabilizing your images. I didn't notice that at all with this one. All right, let's move on. The way that we were at the beach, they had this thing called a cool cabana. which this isn't an advertisement for them, but look up a damn cool cabana. They got the large one. There's a post in the middle, and then it spreads out. You put sand in the thing to keep the weight down. It was amazing. So they kept their daughter out of the direct sunlight. So I went out into the sun and I photographed her underneath. So I had this, it was a really bright day, but we got this nice soft light underneath. Now, depending on the color of the cabana or the fabric that's used, that's going to give you some kind of color shift or a tone. This one was more green, thus why she looks a little greener in this, and you're just going to have to compensate with a little bit of magenta when you're in post-processing. Now, this one, I can't tell if it's super duper sharp or it focused in on the reflection in the eye, and that's what's sharp and the rest doesn't look it, or is it the bridge of the nose? I'm just being honest with you. They'll still love it no matter what, because parents, they're not looking super close at it, so it's good. But this one definitely nailed the eye. Gorgeous, super duper sharp with her mother right there. And then next, they just had her sitting in the middle of the cabana on just a blanket, just playing with stuff, not moving very far because she's 1 year old, but she's always looking. So I could get her attention. I was Elmo for her. She liked me being Elmo. I'm like, hi, I'm Elmo. Wait, that's Hanky. I want to play with you. Do you want to play with me? Is that Elmo, Steven?
No.
Anyway, just look at the tones. Look at the sharpness. I shot at 2.8 because why? Because you want to shoot at 2.8 to blow out the background. Brandon's there in the background right there, but he's out of focus, and the super tight, sharp focus is right there on his daughter. So the dilemma a lot of times becomes, do you want to be color? Do you want to be black and white? It's really a feel. I'll give you the raw files you can download. You can see for yourself whether you like the color or the black and white. That's up to you. But then there was a family shot. I'm like, let's get a family shot. So I just went outside of the tent. They turned around, focused on them. I went to f3.5 for this, because if I was at 2.8 and focused on just the daughter, then Brandon might be out of focus. So that's why I went to 3.5, got them all on the same plane as best as possible, and it's really nice. You can still see that they're at the beach because the beach is in the background right there, and you know, I'm really happy with that shot. Now would be a good time to tell you that if you'd like to pick up this lens or any other lens for that matter, you can go to allenscamera.com and support a mom and pop store like this that's been around for 40 plus years that helped me get a start. Plus, you can help feed the little girl by buying a lens. All right, let's keep going. We're almost there. I just want to show you some of these shots. I really, having the IAF in any camera does change the way that you shoot. I think it makes shooting much easier. I think you feel like you can do much more because you can focus on composition. And this lens is super fast, it's super sharp. I don't know what else to tell you. It's also super expensive. It's $2,600, but that's on par with Canon. That's on par with Sony. The old Nikon, which is right here, has dropped $350 to $2,000. The big question is if you already own this 70-200 2.8, do you sell it or switch? Because if you sell it and it's used, you're only getting like $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 if it sells new for $2,000 at this point, and you spent $2,300 for it. But if you had it for a couple of years and you made a lot of money off of it, then it's perfectly fine. How does this work on the Z cameras? It works fine, but you need an adapter. You need to always take the adapter off or put it on, and then you get confused. This is why you switch to the Z lenses, or the S lenses. Is it a pain in the ass? Is it more expensive? Sure, it's a thing that you do now, but you're gonna have all Z lenses at some point. If you don't use it very often, you probably don't need to switch, but if you're shooting weddings, if you're shooting portraits, if you're shooting run and gun, you want all native lenses, especially if you're a pro. So for me, I'm selling the old lens and I'm getting this new lens because it's native and it is absolutely gorgeous. But how's it smell? Oh, it smells like salt water taffy. It smells like the Atlantic City Boardwalk, or watch the tram car, please. Watch the tram. That's if you're in Wildwood. If you know, you know. The final test, wind tunnel test. Here we go. Oh, geez. That is a unbelievable wind tunnel test. It stopped the air in its tracks. Oh, and by the way, this is my lens. I bought it. I did not get one from Nikon for review. I went out and bought it because I know this is a lens that we will continue to use, and anytime I'm testing any Nikon body, it's much easier to have my own glass so I don't have to rely on them to send me sample units that I have to go ahead and send back. So I picked this up at Alan's Camera. You can pick it up there as well. Don't forget you can download the sample RAW files. Let me know what you think down below. I also forgot, I just realized there's another button, there's another dial right here. You have a command dial right here. My hand just touched it. I never use this command dial. Some people might like they can change aperture from here, or you can change shutter speed or ISO. I just find that I accidentally hit these command dials on every system, so I personally don't use them. That's it, Steven. We're gonna wrap it up right there. Guys, questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, as I said. That's it. Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.